let's bring this up because I know a lot of folks have brought it up on Twitter. Shaq Leonard, the same day Kazir White goes on injured reserve, he is made available via an outright cut from Indianapolis. This is a longtime stalwart of that Colts defense, and as you pointed out on Twitter, had been with Jonathan Gannon for 3 seasons. So initially I would be like, they're not going to do this. It's going to be Chris Barnes, and you guys are going to like Chris Barnes. But then you forget Gannon was with him. Do you think they make a call to Osford and say, you know what, bring him over here? Or will they be scared off by the financial commitment?
Yeah, and that plays into it, right? The latter, the financial commitment. And when you look at, I think, Monty Osford, their front office, are a no stones unturned type front office, right? They're going to at least examine each and every situation. They've been active the last 2 weeks. They signed Naquan Jones from the Tennessee Titans after he got waived. He's on their practice squad now, and with the Lecky Fotu injury, he could be somebody that finds his way onto the active roster. And then Michael Carter, they added last week, supplementing their running back room. And now we're looking at, an injury to your top linebacker and Kazir White. Would you be willing to sign Shaq Leonard to get you through the remainder of the season? Now, he would be a minor upgrade, I think, to their current linebacking core without Kazir White, right? I don't think you even maybe entertain this if Kazir White is at full strength.
Yeah.
But now they have to decide the risk reward on this. Like, do you cut into your cap rollover from the 2023 season to 2024? For a guy that can help you now, but you're 2-9. What do you want to do? Because it's like, do you want to spend $6.1 million now? That's what you would get if you would claim them off of waivers. And that's really the only realistic way that the Arizona Cardinals get into conversations for Shaq Leonard. Or do you want that $6.1 million to roll over and be at your disposal this offseason? So I think that it's not like a coin flip. I think that they'll look at it, but I think at the end of the day, they'll probably move forward with the status quo at the linebacking position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if there was a scenario in which, and you hate to say this because you want guys to be paid and compensated. Like I saw he was giving out turkeys for free in Indianapolis today, kept up with his, commitments in Indy, just like an elite human being. Like he's the kind of person that they would want in this locker room. Absolutely. But I think the financial implications, that's not a position they want to spend a lot of money on. Like they showed you, like the Kazir White contract, it's pretty modest, and we love Kazir White. It was 2 years, like $6 million, $8 million, something like that. Like they don't want to commit solid to high level money to that position at twofold for 2 veterans. I just don't think they have any interest in that. Like if you could get him to come over after waivers to sign with you, yeah, absolutely. Have a 6-game tryout with this team. But I also think his statistics just aren't very good. Like if he was a good player still, he would still be in Indianapolis. He has no sacks. He has no interceptions. He has not been a factor, at least to, a box score analyst like myself, to say oh yeah, bring him in. Chris Barnes had a second half in which he had an interception in marginal playing time this year. That's more than Shaq Leonard's had all season for a team that has been in shootouts, has been in the lead. So I don't want to use this first segment here to kind of poo-poo the idea he's not a good player, but it's we talk about everything at the end of the day. Do you want him on your team? Yes or no? Yeah, you take him on your team. What's it going to cost you, right? We want Brown on this team in 2024. What's it going to cost them? We have to ask that for every situation. I also think we did this yesterday on our mock draft segment. I encourage everybody to check it out. Our third segment yesterday, I think they're going to take another inside linebacker in the middle to late rounds next year to go with Kazir White. And I think that they signed, Chris Barnes for this very reason, be some depth. And Chris Barnes for 6 games is not the worst thing in the world. If you needed it for 10 games, 15 games, it's probably a problem, right? But I think Chris Barnes is really comparable to probably what Shaq Leonard gives you right now. You mentioned it. The drop-off is not as significant enough. This isn't Colt McCoy to Joshua Dobbs. Let's just say that. They're very comparable players at this point. But Shaq Leonard's a name. It gets people excited. I think there's a possibility maybe they dip their toe in this offseason. If he's a free agent again, they bring him in on a cheaper deal. But we're almost to the finish line here with 6 games left. The defense is playing really well, despite Kazir White injury in the first half of last week's game. I think they pass, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the only, I guess, scenario I can see them, I think it's probably unlikely they make a claim, right? And that's the biggest weapon they have in securing a player like this, because I think once the playing field evens, right, once he gets past waivers and he's available to all the other 31 teams, or now 30, the Colts aren't going to get back in that business. I think that, he's going to be looking to sign with a contending team, right? He's not going to be going to a 2-9 situation, no matter what his relationship is with Jonathan Gannon. And if he sneaks through, if he gets through waivers, and then he's available and no contenders sniffing around, they didn't see anything that they liked from his play this year, then maybe, just like Jones, like, you don't sneak him on practice squad, but maybe you sign him that way, and you don't have to rework a deal or anything. You're just signing a new deal to Shaq Leonard at this point in the season to get an opportunity to play right away and potentially, continue his career at the NFL level.
Yeah, there's just too much money committed to a player that's older. Like older players making big money. That was a Steve Keim thing. That is not a Monty Ossenfort thing. Like, they'll sign veterans. They like veteran players. They're not going to sign them to big money deals. Like, they want, to give sizable raises and extensions to the guys they draft and develop. Like, they want to pay Paris Johnson Jr. big money one day. They want to pay Michael Wilson, BJ Ojolari. But I do think, like, they also have to go into free agent. Like, I don't think any of us look at inside linebacker as like a problem. Like, right now, today it might be, but like, assuming Kazir White bounces back, like, that's not a position you're going to go into next March and say, oh yeah, they got to spend tens of millions of dollars on it. No, they have $80 million and they have clearly defined needs. We're 10, 11 games into this bad boy. They don't have a number one corner. They may not have a number two corner. They need defensive line help. They need a 5 technique. They need a left guard. Like, we know, everybody knows these are the talent deficiencies. These are the holes on this roster. It's not changing. So to muddy it up right now for a team that, by the way, is going to hopefully pay Kyler Murray his full salary in the offseason, like, you have to be very specific and have a tactical reason why you would bring him in at that price. And it just doesn't make sense for where they're at.